Welcome, I'm Kenneth Andre, Tenjitsu Master and Mystic Messenger. Everything that I share and say and do is for a reason. If there sounds like a contradiction, there isn't. Investigate further. I hope you're all doing well. Okay. This video is going to be a bit of a challenge. I'm going to step into the mysteries, the advanced side, by sharing insights into strange biblical verses. But before I do that, my son, he said, "Dad, I had a strange dream." I was a bit apprehensive in telling you, but I will tell you. And so we go on our walk around the block and he tells me of this dream. Now, before I get into this dream, the last video I watched of Create with Love, Rivers, she mentioned about the realms, the Nordic mythology, connected with the Nordic mythology, realms, Odin, etc. Now, listening to Rivers, I was like, I get what you're saying. I know it's real. You just wouldn't believe it. I know of them realms that's mentioned in the mythology with the Nordic, but there's so much more to it. And me studying day and night since the year 2011, studying the shamanistic side, demonology, the mystics, Wicca, you name it, I've studied it. I wanted to know my enemy and how things work. And so stepping into the pantheons, the old mythologies and the traditions and weapons and tools, the foods they'd eat, I got to learn a thing or two. And I love survival, being an ex-soldier, doing survival courses. One of them in Belize, I didn't like that. I got to learn a thing or two. And so listening to Rivers, I was like, yeah, it's true. These invisible gods and entities, they exist. So I get it. Trying to tell anyone else this, they just wouldn't believe it. We get movies like American Gods with Odin. Man, you have no idea the truth drops that are in these types of movies, the allegories and hidden secrets. You need to understand symbology. And I cannot help think as well, there's this influence from these entities far off. And so I'm aware of Odin, the mythology, the Nordic, etc. Okay. So I was listening to my son and he said, I was in this dream, Dad, and I got taken to like this Nordic place, this realm in the 9 realms. And he said, this woman took him to a place and they were doing like these rituals. They were being tested and they had to do these mystical and magical practices. And he said there was three small stalls, Dad. And he said you had to say a particular word with your right foot on a stool, then put your right foot on the next stool and say another word, etc. He goes, but I got this wrong. And he said, I needed help. So he turned around and stood there was Odin. And Odin gave him a staff and he said it was like it had a crook in it. It was like a question mark, but it's a big staff, Dad. And he gave him this mantra to say with the foot on the stool. And when he got it right, the staff lit up and there was this sigil and these words, etc. in the staff. Now, my son was telling me this. The way he was describing it, all the implements used during this ritual, I'm like, I've not told my son any of this type of practices. And he's dreaming of actually performing these practices that are mentioned in ancient texts. Now, my son plays a lot of games with his mates. And I said, son, that was all true. Whether it's past memory, whether you took him to that place. How did you do? He did good. So I thought I'd share that with you. I think it's absolutely amazing. I love my family. Okay, right, let's get into it. Okay, we're going to step into the mysteries, give some strange Bible verses, and give you a basic insight into the true interpretation to, again, reveal the hidden Bible within Bible. So in Ezekiel 23:20, we read this. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys, and whose emission was like that of horses. Sounds very strange when reading this verse. Covered not thy neighbour's things. Okay, she is your soul. In the Bible, she is meaning of your soul, female. Okay, if you grasp this, so much of the Bible is going to make more sense to you. So she lusted after her lovers. These are states. Okay, these are idols and desires that are earthly, carnal-minded. Okay, whether you want to be a personification of a particular state you see someone else in or playing a role as, or a particular occupation or a state, whether it be wealthy or being in a wilderness, trying to live off the land. These are states that you fall in love with your soul, she. Okay, so donkey, this is connected with the first earthly man, Adam, blind, deaf and dumb. Okay, this is just symbology, where we have severe amnesia and we're playing our roles as Cain in the land of Nod. And so we get these fixations on states, and we get on a horse and we're like, oh, I want to be a fireman or a soldier. And off we go on that horse. That's what this verse is referring to. Okay. Hence Jesus comes riding on a donkey, on the first earthly man, Adam. All right. Okay. Okay, the next one, I'm going to slow down, Deuteronomy 25:11-12. I'm going to read it out the best I can, okay? If two men were fighting and the wife of one of them comes to rescue her husband from his attacker, and she reaches out and sees him by his private parts, you shall cut off her hand and show her no pity. What does this mean? So as a metaphor, let's say I'm in the army. I'm a lance corporal, but I want to take corporal. Okay. But being a lance corporal, I'm in my comfort zones. But the desire from spirit, from the second man that's in me, Father, okay, saying it's time to move forward, right? The second man in me, Christ, the second coming. And he's saying, no, I need you to move forward. I'm grooming you for something in the future. He's in control. But the first man, where I'm this state playing as the lance corporal, is fighting against the better state, because I like to remain in my comfortable zones. And so there's a fight going on within me. And the subconscious is also assisting in this, shall we say, conflict that's going on with myself because of the memory and paradigms. Of course, who I really am, following my heart, needs to be present, and I'm sentient. I'm saying to the subconscious, the old patterns, the paradigms, no. And so I say to she, that's in the secret chambers, no, I'm letting go of this old state. Okay, and so I show it no pity. I'm denying myself now as a lance corporal by slaying the old man, that old state, and taking up the new position. And so by slaying and laying rest to it all, I'm going to erect myself in this new future event, absorbed by the assumption of the wish fulfilled. And I, as the new man, with my conviction, will stay loyal to that until she accepts this new state, and she has to, and I'll show her no pity. And so the first state I was will be slain and pass away. This is what the verse is referring to. Again, I'm going to read it out first. Judges 3:21-22. Adhud, the word or name, means bird, connected to our soul. Reached with his left hand, drew the sword from his right thigh and plunged it into the king's belly. Now remember, we are referred to as kings, for it's for God to consider a thing and for the kings to seek it out. Even the handle sank in after the blade, and his bowels discharged. Adhud did not pull the sword out, and the fat closed in over it. What does this mean? So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Your consciousness, your measuring rod can act like a sword. And so if you covet down neighbours' things, or you want to take a particular role, or you're going to backstab someone, or you want to, should we say, take a new position without, should we say, thinking of the consequences of your actions in regards to thinking how it may offend others. If you don't put yourself in other people's shoes before, instead of turning into God, that will give you the position that's in harmony with your timeline, right? So if you take your sword out and say, also, let me get this across as well. If you take your sword out and you have malice towards someone because of jealousy, envy, etc., and you think you can do better, well, you take your sword out and you thrust it into the belly, in your mind, psychologically, into that person to say, you shouldn't have that state. By your judgment, you are then literally throwing out these poison arrows or your sword, and you then throw it into the body by your declaration, okay, into a particular state or person. By doing so, when the flesh goes round, covers it, meaning once it's been accepted, when the male and female come together and is made as one flesh, meaning this now comes into manifestation on the world stage in your cubic reality, that is done unto you. Okay, so if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you are wicked or earthly in throwing out your sword into states and others, and that is clothed with the flesh, also remember it's going to act like a mirror, and you're responsible, and that like energy comes back to you. Let me see if I can make it more simple. So say if someone had a particular position in a job, and I thought he shouldn't have that position, and so you go out your way throwing your sword into that individual thinking he shouldn't have that position, and the next minute you're going to bed thinking about this, you're throwing in your sword into that flesh, into that state, absorbed by it. You go back to work and he's now lost the position or been denied a position, and you take up the position. But guess what's going to come later? The same what you did to them is done unto you. All right? Again, read the instructions. Remember the hand. How important is that with the hand that goes into the coat? You can bless it and it's healed. Okay, it's your hand, which is representative of the workings of the mind, the mental activity, your consciousness. Where your consciousness goes, reality flows. With your thought, word, and deed. By thrusting your sword from a malice standpoint, where it literally sinks into the state, the handle too, into the belly of the king, the state, then that's done unto you. By your hand, you will reap. All right, so that's what this verse is revealing. Okay, Judges 3:21-22. Now, remember the sword in the stone, in fact. So remember King Arthur with the sword in the stone. You have a sword in your stone. A sword someone else is planted in you from the external influences. Through social engineering, which create the psychological makeup, you have a sword in the stone and you are conforming. He who is born in you, who has sovereignty and authority, the second coming, who you really are as the Christ, you start pulling the sword out of your own head, and you will go through a process going through the furnace of affliction and timid with the waters of Eden, where the sword becomes of truth. This is the double-edged sword that comes out your mouth, speaking truth and a new application of mind. Okay, this is all connected. So again, let me just make sure I got this right. Ehud in Judges, this is to do with that passion and love. This is also connected with the soul. There's another word that's also connected with this, which I'm going to mention in the next verse I'm going to share with you, okay? So Exodus 4:24-25. Okay. At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. The Lord? What is going on? Wait for it. Be present, pay attention. But Zipporah took a flint knife. Zipporah means bird, that's soul, okay? Cut off her son's foreskin and touches Moses' feet with it. Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me, she said. What does this mean? Okay, I like to give you the best interpretation as I can to reveal what this is meaning. Learning symbology and doing your deep dive, you get to see that this is about the psychological drama that we go through. Hence, the scripture is written about us, about you. So, I'll give you an insight into what it means. So, at a lodging place, on the way, here is that lodging place, okay? The Lord met Moses. Moses means to draw out of waters, out of consciousness, all right? And the Lord was about to kill him. But the soul, she, again, a flint knife, again, like a blade, your consciousness, cut off her son's foreskin and touches Moses' feet. This is to do with the soul. Feet are symbolic to do with the soul, the new flesh. Again, it's like the serpent skin. We shed the old state and we rebirthed in the new, and we go forward. And this is what's being presented here. Okay, because she, with the Lord, okay, in the lodging place, the state that we are abiding in, on our way, if we keep going and don't make the changes, we're going to fall short, sin, which leads to pain and death of ourselves. It darkens our light. We slain ourselves. Sin means to fall short. And we got to stop this world from degrading us, killing us, burying us in our graves. And so we rise from the grave. We rise from the grave. And we get the instructions how to apply ourselves correctly, being aware and present at the gate, at the door. And we apply ourselves differently. That which is praiseworthy, excellent, and good. When someone tells you, oh, that can't be done because, let's say, you can't get an appointment because the doctors are over full. Well, you have the power to say nay or yay. All right. Don't listen to the screen. You say, no, I will get in. Don't let anyone out there slay you with their sword or put a sword back in your stone. You deny it. Let your no be no and your yes be yes. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one, the liar and murderer. And so taking all this in, going over these verses, things will start to shout out at you. The more that you understand symbology in regards to the psychological makeup, this will be revealed to you. So I'm aware that I'm circumcised. I'm not the body, mind, or its concepts. I am light. I am consciousness, the I amness in me. If I drop this vessel or this garment, I know that I will remain the same and my years will never end. It's just a garment. It's the flesh that I'm wearing to express myself through, express myself in, through, whatever it is that I want to interact with, feel, experience. It's just a vessel of flesh, but I'm not the flesh. Hence, I'm really in spirit and in truth circumcised. That's what it means in the Bible. Okay, those who are circumcised, you know that you're a lot more than the flesh. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm Kenneth Andre, Tenjutsu Master and Mystic Messenger. Just a very basic insight, bit of a challenge, but I think I've done the best I can to give you a powerful insight into these verses for future videos where we'll go deeper and give more verses and things will start to shout out at you and click. Have a great day. Love you guys.